in this episode where we'll be tackling on all about holidays and how to prepare for holidays. I'm super excited to talk about that because I love all the holidays coming up this season. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's a sign of new beginnings, right? So tell me, ladies, how are we going to embrace these holidays? What are we looking forward to? I guess we could start there.
I'm looking forward to decorating my house and making it look like Santa threw up here.
I love it.
I love
I
it.
love it. I'm excited to just get new decorations. Like every time I go to a store, I'm like, "Ooh, I want this. I want this." Like I just want to get everything Christmassy.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm looking forward to the holidays for so many reasons. Like it happens to be my husband's birthday around Thanksgiving. So celebrating his, another year of life and being around his family because I know that's super important for him and being able to eat delicious food. I think that's a great one. Um, and also just being around Christmas time with my family and New Year's because my mom is so amazing and so gifted when it comes to making our house feel like that, Tati. Like my mom has the bathrooms, the rooms all decorated Christmas, and it feels like a winter wonderland when you're walking in there.
Hmm.
And I love feeling the magic that comes from that. And I just can't wait to see what new ideas she has this year because again, every year I feel like she always adds something different. It's just so nice. And I'm also looking forward to decorating our home because it's our first time here and making it look like Christmas and coming up with our own little traditions. So it'll be really, really nice to just be able to do all of that and all the Christmas movies. I love all the Christmas movies too. So I can't wait to do all of that and see the Christmas trees and be able to just do little virtual events with my friends who are from far away. That's like something that I definitely miss because I used to do that a lot in California where I would go to friends' houses and do some fun holiday parties. But this year looks a little bit different, which is okay. But I'm really excited to decorate. That's my biggest thing too, because I already have a bunch of stuff that I want to get as well. So man, I can't wait to stack up on these or like ornaments and stuff like that and just make it look beautiful.
I love that. I love that. Same. That makes three of us. I can't wait to start decorating. I probably will start decorating like this week. No, I'm kidding. But
No, I
if
don't judge
I
you.
I'm that type of like I've been trying to beg my boyfriend to let me keep the Christmas tree up all year long, and he thinks I'm crazy. But I just love Christmas and I love decorating. This year I do plan on decorating even more. Last year was our first Christmas here together, so now I feel like, okay, now I know where to spice it up some more, like add some more things. Um, but Michael's will be my best friend this season.
Love Michael.
Ooh, yes.
It was last season, but we'll be going back to this year too. But yeah, I'm excited. Also, my birthday is in December, so it's like double the celebrations. I'm excited. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just spending time with my family. I've been so busy that I haven't really been spending enough time with them.
Mm.
So I'm just excited to see everyone and just be together as a family.
Oh, I love that, Lupe. Oh,
Mhm.
it sounded so warm as you said all of that. I felt it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that sounded really beautiful.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
And even though we're looking forward to the holidays, we all know that the holidays can be really stressful for
Mhm.
so many people.
So tell me then, how do you or how would you advise someone to deal with this stressful time?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, Definitely make sure that you're taking care of yourself beforehand,
Mhm.
right? Allowing yourself to have an acceptance. Like I call it the accepting your feelings phase, like being okay with saying, look, it's about to be the holidays. I know how my family can be, or maybe how my partner's family can be. How do I best prepare to like be okay with that? And how do I strategize when I'm feeling overly stimulated or want to say no to things? Like, how do we want to do this? And I think that's going to be crucial to just being okay with accepting that that's how you feel. I think a lot of us we try to brush it under the rug and say like, okay, like I'm good, I'm strong, I'm gonna tackle it on. And then when we get to the situation, it gets very overwhelming and then we feel our energy depleting. But I think it's good to just be okay with accepting like this is how I feel. I'm going to make sure that I take care of myself. If the situation does come up, I'm going to be able to handle it in X, Y, and Z, whatever feels comfortable for me. And if you do have a partner, strategize with them too, right? Come up with a code word that allows both of you guys to know, like, okay, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Like tag me out of this situation so I can go breathe, do whatever I need to do. But if you're by yourself, right, like come up with cues for yourself where you're gonna feel like, okay, I got myself. If it's like squeezing your hand so it doesn't like look super obvious to people, right? Allow yourself to honor whatever it is that you need and go and do it. Um, and also just reminding yourself that it's not forever. I think that helps me too. Like it's not forever. You're not going to be stuck in the situation forever and it's not going to be as bad. Like everything's going to be okay. As long as you have those practices in place and you also remind yourself to stay present and enjoy the people around you. I think that now that I'm away from my family, because I live in a different state now, I want to see my family. I love my family. So I want to enjoy every single second of it, but it's also okay to accept that, okay, I might be overly stimulated sometimes, or sometimes my family doesn't get me, or they say something that triggers me, but I'm gonna have the tools that are gonna support me to walk out of situations just for a bit, so that way I can come back and collect myself and be again present, so I can enjoy the holidays. Because
Mhm.
I know that a lot of us we can feel overwhelmed, but allowing ourselves to just be okay with that, I think that can help.
I love
Yeah.
that. I
Mhm.
love the accepting your feelings, or it makes me think of one of my favorite quotes. It's from the book The Road Less Traveled. It might not say exactly the way it is, but it's life is hard, and once you accept that life is hard, life is no longer hard, something along those
Mhm.
lines. And I think it goes along with what you were saying, Edie's, right? Like instead of trying to not make things stressful, or like saying, oh yeah, no, it's going to be perfectly fine, and kind of having this unrealistic expectation, just kind of accepting like, yeah, the holidays are stressful, and I tend to feel stressed during the holidays, and it's going to be okay, right? Now that we know that things are stressful, how can we support ourselves during those moments, right? And I think it also goes back to like picking and choosing your battles, right? So are we going to try to set a boundary for every little thing, right? Call out every single thing that doesn't sit well with us, or, right? Because people are going to say and do things that don't make us feel good, right? And so it's
Mhm.
picking and choosing your battles. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself,
Well
right?
said.
So how are you going to support yourself and your body, the thing that you can control, right? When you hear someone say or do something that you don't like, right? And is
Mm.
it a really significant thing? Is it a really significant comment or behavior that you absolutely cannot tolerate and you cannot let slide? Or is it a minor thing that rubs you the wrong way, but you can let it slide. Like it won't be the end of the world if you let it slide, right? So kind of like reflecting on those things and not trying to like jump on everything that makes you upset. And I think that once you start to pick and choose your battles, things kind of begin to be a little bit easier for you, right? You can flow a little bit more. And also, I think when it comes to supporting yourself, I always like to think about when you're going into stressful situations, right? Like, how are you supporting yourself before, during, and after, right? Like, what are you doing to support your nervous system and your body before you go into that stressful situation? If going shopping, right, Christmas shopping makes you anxious or stressed, what are you going to do beforehand? What are you going to do
Mhm.
during, while you're around all of these people, while you're hearing all of the noise, or the Christmas music is really loud at that store, right? Like, how are you going to support your body there? And then after, how are you going to allow the body to rest out after
Mm.
you've after your words, brain work.
You're good.
After you come out of that stressful situation, right? Like, how are you going to support yourself?
I
Yeah,
love
no, I agree with everything that you said. Like a lot of what you both said resonates a lot. And also I was taking notes. I was like, oh yeah, I need to remember to do that. Because listen, we're not perfect, right? Like it's going to
Yeah.
happen. And you can hear this audio today and come Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, you're like, what was I supposed to do? But
Yeah.
definitely self-checking yourself is so important. And I think for me, like just saying out loud, where are you in your menstrual cycle? Because a lot of times we forget about that, right? So our energy levels are going to be lower if you're on your menstrual period that week. So
Hmm.
do not push yourself to have more capacity when your body already cannot take more, right? So
Yeah.
definitely that self-check, like Edie said, is so important because if you're not analyzing where you are both
Mhm.
mentally and physically, it's going to make being around your family or whoever you're around during the holidays very difficult to like tolerate per se, air quotes.
Mhm.
Um, and then secondly, like Tati said, saying it out loud, there's so much power in saying something out loud. Like, I am stressed, but I will be okay. Even when you said that and me saying it right now, I was like, it is gonna be okay. Like there's some soothing to it, right? And some I always say this, your body can hear what your mind is thinking or what you're saying. So when you say things, your body is hearing you say, oh, I'm going to be okay. Like we're going to be okay. And
Mhm.
so, yes, it's normal to be stressed. Yes, there's a bunch, at least in the city, there's always crowds everywhere, right? So
Mhm.
how do I manage and navigate that and telling myself like, okay, it's going to be crazy, but I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So that was the second point. And then the last one was reality check for your family. So for me, what I've learned also
Mhm.
is my family is going to be my family. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I also have to admit what their capacities are. I can't expect them to stop arguing about a certain topic, right?
Mhm.
When their capacities can only get them so far to understand what that topic is, right? And so I can't get mad or upset at them if their knowledge about it isn't as expanded as mine is. I've
Yeah.
gone to therapy. I know how to speak up my needs. They may not. And so being realistic with where your family stands so that your expectations about them isn't like failed, doesn't like meet them, right? Because
Mhm.
that's where the aggravation and the how do they not know this or how do they like still think that this is going to happen because their capacity is very different from where yours is. And so understanding, I think, moral of the story, self-check everywhere. Self-check yourself, self-check your partner, self-check your friends, self-check your family, because we all have different capacities. So let go of those expectations of, oh, but they need to be, no, nobody needs to be anywhere the same way you don't need to be anywhere.
Mhm.
So that's just my tidbit for me,
I
from me.
love
That
that.
that's a great reminder, Lupe. Like a
Mhm.
great one. And it's funny, I was just talking to my husband about that yesterday, where I was like, we have to be okay with accepting where people are at in the moment and just it's
Mhm.
okay to meet them there, even if you've done the work. Because again, their capacity looks very different. And that's where a lot of the, like you said, the in stored emotions of frustration, sadness, whatever it may be, anxiety comes from because we are coming up with these unrealistic expectations that our families possibly will not be able to meet at this time. And it's okay, right? But this is where voicing yourself still during the holidays is still important. Being okay with giving yourself permission to do what feels right for you, but also give that same permission for your family members, for your friends, for your partners, family as well, because they're all going to be in different capacities. It does not mean that they'll never get to that point. It just means for now, right? In order to protect your peace, in order to just be able to enjoy the holidays and be present, that's something that you might do. And again, it goes back to choosing your battles. Like, is this worth being upset about continuously? I
Correct.
think that just helps so much. But again, it also shows grace. It also shows love in that process of you being able to have capacity for people and meeting them on where they're at. Again, it does not mean that you're bending over to them and saying like, okay, I'm going to just cave in, do whatever you want. No, it's okay to still stand in your power, to still say no, to set your boundaries, to protect your energy and model, most importantly, how you want people to love you and treat you, right? Keep modeling that. The work is not done on that, but don't feel this need to change people during the holidays, right? So allow them to
Hmm.
just show up within their own capacity.
Hmm.
Or
And
ever.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And and I think that we can only really remember that people are doing the best that they can based on like the level of their capacity if we have that capacity. And so it
Correct.
goes back to the only person that we can control, the only thing that we can control is ourselves, our behaviors, right?
Yep.
And so if we don't have the capacity in our own bodies to remember that people are just doing their best, right? Then that's a good indicator that we need to support our body a little bit more, right? We need to create a little bit more safety in our bodies and our nervous system. We have to learn how to self-regulate, right? So when we can self-regulate, we will begin to have more capacity to see that other people are just functioning from
Yep.
their level of capacity. So
Love
I think that's really important, right? Because I think it's also really easy to say, oh yeah, everybody's trying their best, everybody,
Mm.
it has different levels of capacity, but then again, we're kind of like focused on other people and we can only really be focused on if somebody's doing something and it's making us feel anxious or uncomfortable, it's not their behavior. It's actually our nervous systems responding to their behavior, right? So no one can ever make you feel a certain way, right? You have to learn how to be with that discomfort, right? Anxiety
Mhm.
or disappointment or
Mhm.
whatever emotion or feeling is coming up. So remember to come back to you.
Yes, I love that topic, and it's actually reminding me that the self-check has to be even deeper, like making sure you're checking off all your boxes. And this includes like, are you providing some time for yourself? Are you eating enough? Are you practicing movement enough? Are you doing something that makes you smile and happy? Because when we're doing things on the go, 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 and forgetting what fills our cup and what our body needs, it's so easily to get aggravated. It's so easy to get frustrated and anxious and, ugh, I'm tired.
Mhm.
Simple example, this week I've been very tired, and the whole week, even this morning, I was like, why am I so tired? Like, I'm sleeping enough, right? I realized my breakfasts actually have not been as nutritional as I'm used to. And so by the time, and so when that happens, by lunchtime, I'm hungry, so I'm a little like hangry. So by dinner time, I'm trying to make up everything that I didn't eat all day. And so now I'm even more frustrated. And now it's harder for me to fall asleep. And now the next day, of course, I'm exhausted because I didn't practice it's important to my body all day. And I've done this for like maybe 2, 3 days in a row already. So of course I'm exhausted today. But
Yep.
it's little things like that that we forget to check up on. And it wasn't until today that I actually had a really good breakfast that I was like, oh, this is what I've been lacking. And it's little things like that that sets us up to be able to have more capacity if
Mhm.
that's your goal. If
Yeah.
you don't want to go that route, fine, then you just sit where you are. But at the end of the day, making sure you're still checking off what your body needs, what your mind needs, what your surroundings need, it's so essential. Like it, sometimes we forget those connections.
Yeah, a thousand
1000%.
percent. Yeah. And even just like the expectation piece. When I think about the surrendering part of all of this, right? Especially when we're trying to open up more capacity, allow yourself to release the outcome or the expectations that you have. And I know sometimes there could be resistance to that because again, we want people to meet us on where we're at because we want our families to be just as healed as us. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a beautiful vision to have. But with that also is like the purpose of the holidays y'all, and I want to remind us, right? Because this is a reminder for me as well, is to be present with the people that you love, right? Be present with them. And when we have these expectations, or we expect for outcomes to be a certain way, or we have this perfect vision of our in our minds of what we want the holidays to look like, and when it doesn't go that way, right? The controlling piece of that aspect, right? It becomes really frustrating, right? So then we don't see with eyes of love, right? Ojos de amor, with the
Mhm.
people that we're trying to interact with on a daily basis, depending on how long you're with your family for. So allow yourself, give yourself permission to just release and say, look, I'm open to seeing how this holiday break is going to go with my family. I'm open to being okay on meeting my family on where they're at. I'm open enough to seeing how I respond in these situations. And that is expansive, because then you allow possibilities to come in that moment when you're interacting with your family members. You'll get to see as well that you're going to actually be more present with your family. You won't be as stressed. So allowing yourself to just release that, right? Release the outcomes of what you think things should look like, and allow yourself to just immerse in the present moment, that gives you way more capacity, because again, that's going to allow you to feel more expansive for
Mhm.
yourself, for your family members, for people that you love, right? Whoever you're going to be interacting with in the holiday season, it's gonna shift even your whole entire energy, because it's just gonna allow you to immerse in the present moment. And for a lot of us, especially as women, we want to be fluid. We want to step into that feminine energy. And I know that a lot of us call for that. And in order for us to step in that, we have to allow ourselves to release the control, release
Mhm.
what we feel like people should behave like, release and stop being that dictator, that says, hey, you need to act this way. Like, nobody wants to be around that energy. So it's like, allow yourself to just drop the armor, allow yourself to walk in and just immerse and be open. Okay, this is going to be the holidays. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to allow this whole entire experience to be a good one, right? That's going to shift so many different ways. And you're going to, hopefully as you reflect towards the end of the holidays, you get to actually see the difference in that, where you're like, wow, I actually got to enjoy my mom more this time around, or I got to enjoy my sisters and my brother and, my mother-in-law, or whoever it might be, right? Like, allow yourself to just immerse in the, because even as someone like myself who likes to control certain outcomes and wants to sometimes, and I try to do this in a loving way, but sometimes it can come off where I'm trying to control other people, or try to control their behaviors, or say, hey, why are you doing that? Like that, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, this is what I've learned, right? Like, people don't want to operate in that energy either. So allow yourself to just drop the armor and just, again,
Mm.
enjoy the people that you're around with. Be open to the possibilities of what holidays can look like, because then that's where the redefining of holiday seasons will come from. You're going to know how to redefine it to be like, wow, like maybe my family experience doesn't look like a Hallmark movie, right? Like, because a lot of us, we want it to
That's
look
not
like
real.
that,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
not
not real.
real.
Exactly. It's not real. But so many people want that experience so
Mhm.
badly. And it's like,
Mm. Mhm.
Mhm.
that's not real though. So don't set yourself up to that level, but allow yourself to be like, wow, I'm gonna enjoy my my sisters on where they're at in the season of life.
Mhm.
Oh wow, I'm gonna enjoy my mother in this season of where she's at. I'm gonna enjoy myself in where I'm at in this season of life, It just helps so much more. So um it's just a piece of advice that I would give to our audience, and even to myself as I step into this holiday season, to be like, I want to look at my family with more eyes of love, con ojos de amor, where they
Mhm.
feel the love, I feel the love, but while also setting my boundaries, and also releasing the control of wanting for everything to be perfect. There's
I
no such
love
thing as
that.
perfect, and that's okay. So,
That was
You
so
make me
good. Oh, that
cry.
was so good. I love that. And I feel like that was such a good reminder for all of us, including myself.
Mhm.
And I think
Same.
that I love that you said put your armor down, because I feel
Mhm.
like that really resonated with me. I think that for me, I'm usually in this fight state because we've got lots of family members that just don't know how to behave. And They don't know social cues and they don't know how to not say inappropriate things. And it's frustrating. And so I know that I often do have an armor. I pick and choose my battles, but I'm at a distance, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
I'm not going to let my armor down because if I let my armor down, we're going to let a lot of things go that we don't want to, right? My family can be a little cray, a little cray. Just like all families, all
Yeah.
families
Yeah,
have
there's
their
something,
problems.
something. Hmm.
But I love that you reminded us to put that armor down. And I was thinking about how, like, oh, yeah, I am usually in this fight state. I get frustrated very easily. I get angered. And it's usually only with my family because they're the ones who, they're the ones who you grow up with. They're the ones that
Yeah.
you've spent all your life with. And they're probably the ones that, at least for me, I can speak for myself, have created some trauma responses, right? And so I think that thinking about being in this fight state, thinking about being in this survival, because when you're in fight state, you're in survival, right? How can we come back down? How can we come out of that survival? And we can only really do that, going back to what Lupe was saying, if we are checking all of the boxes, if we are supporting ourselves in this holistic way, right? Did we get enough nutrients in? Did we sleep? Did I move my body? Did I get sunshine? Right? Like everything that Lupe was saying earlier, it's like, am I supporting my body? And am I able to just kind of come back to be in this present moment? Right?
Mhm.
And that's the only way that we can come out of survival. That's the only way that we can be in this, when we're in this present state, we're in this parasympathetic state, right?
Mhm.
So thinking about your your needs, your body, surrendering all of that.
I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, that's
No,
so
I love that. This is so good. And I agree with you, Tati. I resonated a lot with the armor analogy that Edie's gave. Like, definitely. I go in there like, all right, I'm ready for battle. Come at me. Especially my rebellious fiery sign. I'm always like, let's go. What do you have to say? Because I will be quick to check you or like say something back, right? I've tried to tone it down. It's really hard. But I always do come in with that armor and I need to maybe just take that off. What was that quote I was thinking of? It said, let go and let God, because you just got to go with the flow. Like at the end of the day, just stop trying to be in control, stop trying to predict what's going to happen, and just have faith that it's going to be a very good holiday, a very good time for you to be present with your family. At the end of the day, at least you have family. At least you have someone to go to, right? At least you have the day to look at and celebrate. At least we have it almost turned now into a being grateful moment, because
Yeah.
when we focus more on the grateful part, it's almost like not that we forget about the trauma, but it minimizes that, because at the end of the day, our family wasn't just picked like at random to be your parents, to be your
Yeah.
cousins, aunt, right? They were on purpose. And so, although, yes, my family has given me or I have gone through trauma,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Because from that, I have learned, I have grown, I have expanded my capacities, I have understood their capacities. So I think it's a matter of thank you, God, for putting me here with this family, with this during this time. And just thank you for having me here with them and being able to spend time with them and being able to, whew, get emotional.
No, it's beautiful. No.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we don't know, not to get all sad on everyone, but we don't know
Please
how long we
do.
have.
No, and it's
I
We
funny that
love
you
don't
it.
know.
yeah,
We don't know how long we have. We don't know how long anyone has.
correct.
Yeah.
And why not focus on enjoying the moment instead of I'm going in with an armor ready to fight?
Yeah.
Let's just go in with festivities and presents, and not maybe physical presents, but with open arms so that we can celebrate what we have in the moment instead of worrying about like, what am I going to defend myself today with?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I love that so much. And I completely agree. I feel like we don't know how long we have. And I think about this all of the time, right? Like we always just assume that we're going to live long lives. We assume that we're going to live until we're 85, 90, right? But we actually don't know that. Like we don't know how much time we have on this earth. And I think and I like to, like our souls are going to always live on, right? But I think that in our physical body, we're only going to be here for a short period of time. And so I think that when we come back to that and we face that directly, we can start to live our life a little bit more intentionally and be more present, like you were saying, Edie's, because if we do, I know this sounds like very cliche and cheesy, but if you do actually live your life if as if it were the last day, then you would probably be doing more on a day to day and not more in like, oh my gosh, I have to get all of these things done, but more in the sense of like being intentional with
Mm,
what matters, what's priority.
mhm.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. Like, I can't say anything else from that because I definitely, like, Lupe, you just got me into my feels where I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm very big on that, where I'm like, this could be our last day on our earth. And I don't want my family to remember the bad things, right? There's this beautiful quote that I encountered, and I think Maya Angelou says it, but we want to make sure that people remember how we make them feel and not all the things that we did. And so that goes back with that's why it's so important to tie back, be present, release the control, and allow yourself to actually immerse in that. Because when you even think about having that armor up, we're operating in a, like you said, in a fight mode, and also when I think about it, it's like your, unhealthy masculine too, trying to be like, nope, like I'm going to operate in this energy, like don't come near me. But when we allow that to drop, we really, especially as women, like we drop into our feminine energy, which is so important for us. Again, not to say that we have to be allowing our feminine to be our dominant, right? Because we operate into different energies. But it is important for us to do that because when we are allowed to do that, we can connect a little bit easier. We can be more present. We can be fluid and flow like water, and allow ourselves to just immerse and be in the moment. And that's where gratitude is going to come up. That's where you're going to get that, beautiful gifts of whatever you receive in that moment. Because if you are constantly having that armor, you are blocking your own blessings of seeing what your family can also provide for you in that moment, which
Mhm.
is kind of crazy because that's something that we don't think about on a day to day. But just like how everything operates in energy, when we think about money, when we think about all the other things in our lives, it's
Mhm.
the same thing with our family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, allow your armor to just drop. You are safe. And I want to remind that, just like Tati reminded us about the different tools that we can provide for ourselves, a self check in, all that stuff. Yes, provide yourself that safety first so you can feel the permission, most importantly, to drop the armor and allow yourself to just see what is possible out of the season. Because maybe the season you walk out, and my hope for all of you is that you walk out of it saying, like, wow, that went way better than I thought. Wow, I got that hug that I wanted from my mom, or I got that hug that I wanted from my dad, whoever that may be. And you got to just receive the best gift of all, which isn't a material thing. It's legit the memory that carries on with you forever of I got that feeling. I got that peace. I was able to allow myself to see a different version of me too while being with my family, you know? And who knows, maybe you get to create other traditions as well. But that's because you allowed yourself to give yourself permission to drop the armor during the holiday season and to allow yourself to know how to provide the safety that you need, how to cope before you go in. And again, we're not saying don't say no, don't stick to your boundaries, right? Again, continue to be who you are, continue to set the boundaries that are necessary for you, provide the self-care, regulate your nervous system, take care of your health, right? But also allow yourself to surrender and allow yourself to be present. And those can all coexist. You don't have to choose one or the other. Allow it to flow into your everyday rhythm. And just like how one of my clients did actually this week, which I loved, it's like she called her routine of taking care of herself as a harmony cycle, where she's like, I want harmony. I want things to just flow in rhythm. And I thought
Mhm.
about that. So shout out to her because like that's what she came up with. And I thought it was so beautiful. And so many of us need to create that harmony cycle or whatever you want to call it for yourself. So you could take care of you during this holiday season. And again, allow yourself to just receive,
Mhm.
receive whatever it is that you need to receive. But in order to receive, you need to drop the armor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Drop the armor.
Right. And I think I would just want to reiterate again that like we're not saying to like not set boundaries because I think
Mhm.
it can be so easy to be like, all right, well then now I'm just going to be passive and let everything slide because I'm surrendering, right? Like we are not, that's not what we're saying at all. Like we want, like Edie's was saying, like we need to have both. And I think when you start to feel angry, frustrated, anxious, it's just information, right? It's
Mhm.
just energy. They're just emotions, just acknowledging them and saying, I am feeling angry. Okay. It's information. Now, how can I use these emotions in a productive way? Because I love anger. Side note, I used to run an anger management program and I love anger because I think anger is so misunderstood. So if you're angry with your family during the holidays, how can we use that in a productive way? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how can we use that energy to actually speak up and set a boundary, not in an aggressive way, but in a firm and assertive way. And I think that could be a topic for another episode too, because I
Yeah.
think communication styles is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Assertiveness also gets confused with aggression. That is not the same, right? It's just being firm and direct and being clear with what you're communicating or what you're asking for. So just
100%.
to kind of remember to honor both, right? Like the emotions, the activation, and also the surrendering, being present, and
I love that.
I love that. I love that because at the end of the day, again, we continue to grow, we continue to learn, right? Transformation doesn't happen overnight and it never stops. It never has like a deadline. It's a continuous thing, right?
Mhm.
So once it's over as well, like kind of Tati touched upon it, like realize what is it that got you angry? Is it something that was after reflecting, is it something that's a you thing or is it something that's it's a them thing? If it's a you thing, also being honest with yourself, like, is there something more that I have to work on so
Mhm.
that the next holiday season I'm even better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like Edie said, the cycle thing, um, it got me thinking like you can also be the light of your family. Like they
100%.
can mimic you. So if you go in without the armor and arms wide open, how many more people aren't going to see that and also follow, right? I think of it that way because I've always felt like I'm that pillar for my between my siblings. Like, no, no fighting. Let's do this. Let's do this instead. And they'll follow along, right? And so same thing with your own families or friends, like these are things that we can learn from, we can grow from, we can eventually transform and become a better person. And what better way to do that for your friends or your loved ones?
1,000%. And that's healing. That's healing even your past, like generational cycles. Your family gets to experience something completely
Mm,
different with you.
mhm,
And I do want to emphasize that there is power to surrender. I know a lot of us can think that it seems passive, but I want to remind you all, and because that's part of the work that I do. I'm a surrender coach, and I think that there's so many misconceptions on that it can be passive. But just because you're loving, just because you are open, just because you are maybe not, again, being on that fight mode, right? You're on your masculine, it does not mean that you're passive. If anything, there's strength in that. Just like how Lupe said, you can be that light, that beacon that people are seeking for. You can be the person that heals, that generational trauma that your family never got to see. And by you modeling that, by you showing up in your power, by saying in loving, firm ways, right? Saying like, hey, this is what I stand for. Hey, I need to go regulate my nervous system right now. Hey, I need to take care of my health. That's power. That's empowerment for you. And that trickles down to people because you're planting seeds, whether they know it or not. You are the person that's going to show them what's possible. And again, I know it could feel like a big responsibility, but that's not how I want you to take it, right? Like I invite you to look at it in a different lens of seeing it as, wow, like I'm providing this for my family. This is how they can have access to healing. Wow, I just like healed a different part of us because we're going to operate in different ways now. God willing, right? Like that is the hope. But at the end of the day, like stand firm with who you are, allow your family to see who you are, and just like, again, keep up with those routines. We want to keep emphasizing that we're not telling you to just drop it and leave it and to just put things under a rug. Like, no, that's not why we're here, right? Like we're literally here to transform. And these are the tools that you can take depending on where you're at in your journey. Because I do understand that a lot of us were in different phases of our life where maybe some of us really need to focus on what Tati's saying, like focus on regulating your nervous system. And then afterwards, I think it's a great check-in for you to see what is it that maybe triggers you? What do you need to work on? How can we use those emotions in a more productive way? And like Lupe also mentioned, right? Being that beacon, that light, modeling things for our family, staying in that gratitude, being able to take care of your health. Like, how empowering is that, right? Because again, healing is ongoing. The work does not stop, right? But again, you get to, the way I look at it is that you're stepping into new levels. Every time like you heal something, like you're going to step into something else. And because you are in this space, because you are learning all these tools, you are well equipped. Again, like there is a time where you will take off your armor, but there is another time where your armor is going to upgrade. It no longer has to be this hard steel. It is now this beautiful steel with different things that provide you different sense of knowledge and power and wisdom. And so that's how I want you guys to look at it. Like you are built stronger because you are using all of these tools and whatever other tools that you see out there that you need to take on this journey. So we want to keep empowering you, right? To be able to use the tools that you need, but just remember, like your armor is being upgraded every single time that you heal.
That.
You
Upgrade.
should see how many stickers mine has. No,
Right?
I'm joking.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Can I take this conversation in another direction? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us today on Lit Podcast. We hope this conversation has ignited a spark within you so that you keep embracing your journey.
Remember, transformation takes time, but every step brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review.
Let's continue this journey together. Until next time, stay lit and keep transforming.